Welcome back to Wellness Lenses. Today, we're going to talk about the difference between ADHD and plain laziness. You might get these two ideas mixed up sometimes, but by the end of this video, you'll understand them clearly. Let's say you set a goal, but you keep putting it off, get distracted easily, or find it hard to focus. Could it be just plain laziness? Or could it be something more serious, like Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, or ADHD? Let's get into this complicated subject. First, let's talk about what ADHD is. People of all ages can have ADHD, which is a neurodevelopment disorder. Inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity are some of its defining characteristics. But here's the catch. ADHD isn't just being hyper. It's a difference in how the brain works in a fundamental way. ADHD is linked to structural and functional brain problems, mainly in areas related to executive functions like planning, organizing, and sustained attention. According to research like the groundbreaking study published in The Lancet in 2019 by Cortesi. This isn't laziness, it's a real neurological condition. Realizing that ADHD isn't just a lack of willpower or laziness is a big part of understanding it. Numerous neurobiological conditions impact millions of people around the world. ADHD makes it harder for the brain to control impulses, attention, and other executive functions. To understand and help people with ADHD, it's important to recognize the real problems they face and create an atmosphere that supports their strengths, resilience, and individual ways of thinking. So now let's discuss laziness. Yes, we've all been there. Putting things off, watching Netflix instead of working, or pressing the snooze button too many times. This seems like a simple case of laziness, but is it really that easy? According to studies on procrastination, such as the one done by Pitchell and Flett in 2012, procrastination may be caused by problems with emotional regulation rather than laziness. They found that people who put things off often have higher levels of stress and lower self-esteem. So, what might seem like laziness is often a complicated emotional response to a task. The laziness conundrum is a complex problem that frequently conceals deeper emotional problems. People often hide feelings of stress, anxiety, or self-doubt behind what seems like simple procrastination or a lack of motivation. Calling it laziness can make these underlying problems seem less important. People can come up with efficient methods for overcoming procrastination and fostering self-motivation by addressing these emotional factors and figuring out the underlying causes. This is where things get tricky. There's a possibility that the signs of ADHD and the behaviors that are connected to laziness will overlap. Focusing, managing time, and starting tasks may be hard for both groups. For some people, this overlap can cause confusion, self-doubt, and even the wrong diagnosis. The distinction between ADHD and laziness can be further muddled by a study by Wilcutt in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology, cited below, that found that people with ADHD are more likely to also have anxiety and depression. It's like a Venn diagram, where symptoms and behaviors overlap. There's a chance of confusion, self-doubt, and misunderstanding at this intersection. It's important to remember that people can have both conditions at the same time, which makes it hard to tell them apart. Often, a full evaluation by a trained medical professional is needed to separate these overlapping factors so that effective and personalized interventions can be made. It is important to be able to tell the difference between ADHD and laziness because the ways to deal with each are different. A full evaluation, which may include interviews, questionnaires, and maybe even neurological testing, is usually needed to make a diagnosis. Consideration of their nature and response to interventions can help distinguish between ADHD and laziness. Differences in brain structure and function are the neurobiological basis of ADHD. It's not a choice, it's a condition that people always have in different situations. Laziness, on the other hand, is usually a choice that is affected by feelings, circumstances, and reasons. Laziness can start at any age and be influenced by a person's experiences and circumstances, whereas ADHD typically starts in childhood and lasts into adulthood. Symptoms of ADHD are consistent and tend to stay the same in a variety of settings. Laziness is often situational and can change based on things like motivation, interest, and pressures from outside sources. Importantly, interventions like medication, therapy, and behavior management, plans designed to address ADHD's neurological causes, have a positive impact on the condition. Getting rid of laziness, on the other hand, usually requires different methods, like setting goals, getting better at managing your time, and, if needed, going to therapy to deal with underlying emotional issues. So, as you can see, knowing the difference between ADHD and laziness is a big step towards improving yourself and having empathy for others. Keep in mind that ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects how the brain works, whereas laziness is frequently caused by complicated emotions like stress and low self-esteem. Thanks for coming along with me on this journey. Remember that knowing things gives you power, and that understanding others and ourselves is possible through empathy. See you in the next video.